they get the chance. They were born in bloody circumstance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. A voice from the underground, given room to breathe, not be drowned. So die if you get the chance. Better men than you've been, let this dance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. I have seen the worst, and there is nothing left for me to hate, so I can lay me down, my brothers, on the ground. I bled today until Coyote comes to raise me up and carries me away. To go, leave me, run like you never did. No, believe me, run like you've never run before.
Good evening and welcome to the Scottish Rugby podcast in association with the Scottish Rugby blog. How are you all doing tonight? It's a sunny old night in Fife here at the moment. I don't know where it is, how it is with my colleagues who are joining me. So joining me tonight is Rory Baldwin, resplendent in Scotland World Cup jersey tonight.
Yeah, it was either that or my Fuzzy Bear t-shirt. So it was covered in, and I got that covered in spaghetti bolognese. So.
Oh, well, there we go. That's one thing I have to say is that I always try to change my talk because I've always spilled something down me before the podcast starts. And also joining us tonight is Iain. Hey, Iain, good evening.
Hello, Craig. How are you? And hello, everyone else.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. High on Fire. What's the t-shirt?
High on Fire. They're a band that I saw a couple of weeks ago. They're quite heavy stoner metal. I would say is the niche genre, which that
doesn't sound like your sort of thing.
Well,
no, not at all.
No, it doesn't fit. The thing is, it's like I'm sitting here, talking to you about High on Fire. That could have just been a slogan on a t-shirt to me, or it could have been something because I am an absolute.
It could be my new clothing line, which not sell at all.
You could be Darcy Graham-esque in your new clothing line.
I thought it said high in fiber myself.
Oh no!
No, he's wearing a really edgy Brandflakes t-shirt.
Nice. It's like Barocca.
Super vegan.
Just a t-shirt with Barocca on it or something.
I don't need drugs and high on fiber.
Yeah, nice.
Constantly on the toilet pan, which is actually true, but nothing.
Well, we've certainly started off the podcast tonight on. I think it's only going to go downhill from here. I think tonight, lads. It's.
We should set expectations low. It's the best way to go, I find.
Well, the problem is, so that Joe Biden set things low, set expectations low, and then it just went even worse from there. So I don't know if that's a good thing to think about, but we'll wait and see. So we're available on www.patreon.com// Scottish Rugby Pod. We're also available on Twitch, are we not? Twitch, Twitter,
so, yeah.
Facebook. Are we allowed on Facebook anymore, or is it YouTube now?
Yeah, no, there's Facebook. We've got Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter are going out live.
Awesome. So we're available on all these different things. We're on the Sports Social Network as well, and also Rory, where do we catch you if we're wanting to listen to what you're saying?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Your Twitter handle and
Twitter. That's a good point. I think it's Scott Rugby Blog.
Scott Rugby Blog, yeah. And
Yeah.
Iain, where are we going?
I'm at Iain Hay 82, I think.
Excellent. And as usual, I'm Scrum Champion as well. So it's going to be an interesting night tonight to talk about things. But also, just before we can move on, what we do is with Patreon, for the price £3 a month, you get access to our Facebook super secret Facebook page, along with an extra podcast. So we do a little bit of time here, and we're going to do a little bit about news and bits and pieces that are going on live to yourselves just now, and then we'll move over to the Patreon side, and we will be talking about the Scotland game that was on Saturday against Canada. So for £3 a month, as we say, you can support the pod and also get a little bit more content from ourselves. And especially when we're coming up to the next season, you're going to see a lot more from us. So it'll be an interesting bit. Hopefully you'll want to join us and support the pod at the same time.
And we'll rate your meal deal.
Sorry, mate?
And we'll rate your meal deal.
Oh yeah, we will rate your meal deal. You can put in your meal deal and tell us what and then we'll absolutely slag it off. So it's always good. You see, the thing is, I always fancy a wrap, but then I think I get just a decent sandwich is always quite good as well. But anyway, you're getting
I had a chicken shawarma toasty today.
Ooh.
And my partner had a macaroni cheese toasty. So if you're in Inverness, hit me up and I'll tell you where you can find these secret things.
I'll tell you what I had the other day was Stevens, the bakers. Unfortunately, they're far too close to my work, and they're now doing a doner kebab pie with chili sauce on it.
Hello, yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be an absolute chest clutcher and vein closer, and yes, it is, but it's absolutely delicious at the same time. So if I do end up clutching my chest while eating one of them, I'll die with a smiley face on my face.
Just remembering that pie.
Well, I want to be eating it while I'm having the chest clutcher,
I'll be on the floor beside you. You look over at it longingly, like, goodbye, my friend.
One of them. So, right, well, we'll move on from this absolute rubbish that we're talking, and we'll get stuck into the news. And I'm going to start off with the really bad stuff, and then we'll move on to hopefully some good stuff talking about Scotland. But it's been a fairly bad week for rugby when we take into account basically people's personalities and what people do. First of all, Iain, France are having a few issues over in Argentina at this moment in time.
Aren't we quite?
Yeah, with first of all, they had now who got sent home again? Melvin Germany got sent home for posting a video with racist content in it. Allegedly, or is it allegedly? Is it now just actually that's the truth?
No,
it's allegedly, unless you've got evidence.
All right, okay.
Given that we've started the let's get sued portion not in the Patreon. Thanks for that.
Well, there is evidence. The video that he himself posted.
If you've got the video, yeah.
Well, let's just say I'm reporting what's been reported, and that's about it.
Yeah,
we'll not get involved in anything else. And then Oscar Jeju and Hugo Anyway, Hugo. We're
If they've
both
done what they're
do.
supposed to, it doesn't matter if you pronounce their name wrong.
okay. Well, that's fine then. After have been arrested after allegations of sexual assault over in Argentina. It's not a great look, Ian, is it?
No, and to be honest, like, I think I'll be delving into this further in Hands and Ruck, and yeah, it's going to come with a content warning because the headlines are saying sexual assault. That's not what the actual direct translation is, and some of the details are absolutely horrifying. Like, I Google translated one bit. I'm like, I know what that word means. But it's oh my god, what in the name of yes. So yeah, it's been disgusting. I'll maybe
we'll
it's
maybe take that over into the next
people's
part of the pod.
responses to it is what's really annoyed me. Is which my Hands and Ruck. In the case of Chamonix, I mean, it's just absolute idiocy. I mean, okay. One of the things.
This is where Ian really
you know what, I'll
struggles.
skip this. I'll skip this now and we'll go Hands in the Rock because
This is where
there's
Ian. Ian,
long-winded ranting and the need to swear while I think about how angry I am.
absolutely, yeah.
To define it.
Yeah, it really is. It's not a great look, especially considering France seemed to not travel very well because we had a wee issue in Edinburgh when they were over as well a couple of seasons ago. So it really hasn't been and they don't seem to be learning a lesson at this moment in time. But we'll maybe talk about that further down the line. But Rory, Rhys Webb again playing in France, but has been banned for 4 years. After testing positive for human growth hormone.
It's all a little bit Marvel Cinematic Universe, isn't it? Really, he's going to turn into some sort of superhero, maybe.
Yeah, well, you see,
I don't know what he was playing at.
I was just wondering, is this just small man syndrome really taking over?
Does it actually make you grow like vertically?
Well, that's the question.
Or is he just trying to bulk up?
Well, he's always had an impressive pair of guns, but you just think, well, someone playing at that level of rugby and still having sights on playing for Wales again, it's a bit of a silly thing to do, or stupid. Well, okay, I'll call it. It's a really stupid thing to do, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, I think the point at which you can claim naivety about these things is fairly long gone once you've been a professional for that long a time and with all the drug testing and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it may have been, there may be a defense of it being accidental, or there's so many things that have other things in them, but yeah, it's still not a great look, and you would think should be easy to avoid.
Yeah, you're not exactly going to go to the chemist and ask for a couple of God, I'm showing my age, Ascot powders that have accidentally got human growth hormone in them. You know what I mean?
Well, they might. Maybe that's why they don't make them anymore. You probably do make them. You bet you can get them in boots.
Well, you got to remember, I still swear by Milk of the Poppy. But anyway,
that's a Game of Thrones. Do you mean Milk Thistle?
That's what I was. Actually, I was going down the route of Game of Thrones. I was trying to be like ye olde. Forget it.
All right.
I
only know that because I started watching the
down to the Apotheosis.
The dragon thing, and
Yeah.
I heard it again. I was like, oh, Milk of the Puppy. I forgot about that. Otherwise, it would have gone over my head, and I would have just thought, yeah, Craig's on heroin.
I believe part of his defence is that he was supplied it by the Welsh, somebody at the Welsh national coaching team on their medical staff. Some of it was in French, so I didn't understand most of it.
All right, maybe
But he's
Gatland
is influence over it. But yeah, I mean, the thing is though, right? That was last year when he was 33, 34-year-old. You're coming at the edge of your career anyway. Why start cheating now? Just see out the rest of your career.
Well, he's got such an
quietly medical joker, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah, he's got quite an illustrious career behind him. You would have thought that. Well, we're about to talk about someone else who doesn't seem to know when to call it quits, but it is one of those situations where he's got a good career behind him, and really, also, I still go back to what Rory said about does it not make you grow bigger, taller? Because I'm just thinking, listen, man, you're not going to grow any further, really, are you? At 30 odd year old.
Give it a few years, you start shrinking again.
Aye, yeah, absolutely.
I've actually
It's good
found a
condition,
rugby
yeah.
connection for you, Craig, with Ascot powders.
Have you?
They used to be made in a factory on Saracen Street.
Oh, well, there you go. Look at that.
Saracen Street in Glasgow.
Yeah, then they moved to Cumbernauld, so I'm guessing Glasgow.
Holy Moses, there's a bit of trivia for you. I'll have to remember that.
Ceased production in 2012, and they used to have caffeine in them and were mildly addictive in the 60s, the original formula, which could have had all sorts.
Well, I've got a whole story for you about Ascot powders, but I'll talk about that maybe in the Patreon side of things, so that any drug company that actually own the Ascot powders name doesn't sue me. So we'll move on. Talking about being up in front of judges and jail time, etc. Stuart Hogg has avoided jail time but got arrested again last week, or end of last week, and he just. I mention it because we'll maybe go. I'm kind of trying to bring it to a close because it's a fairly crappy way to start. But it has been a bad week for rugby. But is this a rugby issue with people who just don't know when to quit, or is this just a people being people? And
people are basically horrible.
Yeah, and men being men. Well, aye, bad men being bad men.
Yeah, but is it a toxic masculinity thing, or is it just us? Is rugby to blame for it, or is it just these people are just
No, they're in all walks of life, unfortunately. These kind of a-holes. I mean, God, the horrific news about the Hunt family. My God, this is like the cheeriest start to a rugby pod. Can we talk about rugby for
find some rugby?
This is miserable.
All right, so
also in rugby news, Hogg signed for Montpellier.
Yes, we have covered that, and it's been officially
Spain sealed the levels.
Only as a medical joker, though, not as a two-year contract. It was
part of the reason he was not sent to jail and given bail was so that he could go to sign his contract.
We are allowed to believe by things we have read.
Yes, this was reported in the newspapers and on the BBC and stuff.
And and he doesn't look too, with his new hair and teeth, he doesn't look too good in orange. But we'll wait and see. Anyway, we'll move on from the orange jumpsuits. Scotland under-20s prep for their final pool match against Japan. Iain, it's been an impressive start to this pool for the World Rugby under-20s competition that's been taking part in the Hive. It's been pretty good.
Yes, consecutive triple-figure scores. I think so. We shouldn't be in this position. We should be we should be at the big show, but I don't think they're playing many games there at the moment. Yes, it's encouraging that we're scoring lots of points and stuff, but it's against the opposition. It's kind of, I don't want to be mean, but it's sort of pub standard, isn't it? It's we need to get back up into the big competition to really prove ourselves. I mean, this is one of the strange things that I find. The under-20s had been on such an absolutely honking run. But then you see some of the guys that are coming through, some of the young talent that's coming through, like Max Williamson, who's only 21, and Glenn Young and stuff like that. Obviously strength and depth is one of our biggest issues, and so the really good youngsters are fast-tracked. But I don't think is it really doing them much good to be just running up these cricket scores against people who don't have anywhere near the same facilities and opportunities as them.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was going to say to you, Rory. I was going to ask you, is this, they've done so badly lately that they then go into this level of competition because that's where they are adjudged to be with the world rankings, and they're not really learning very much, are they? Are we getting a false sense of security?
Potentially. I mean, Scotland teams are never very good when we're a bit complacent, and Yeah, it's weird because it seems like there's such a massive drop off between, Scotland were not quite good enough to challenge at the level above, and they were always kind of clinging on by the fingernails. But at the same time, they're clearly massively, above the level that they've fallen down to. So where's the sort of level in between? I guess in the women's terms, it's almost like they've gone from WXV1 right down to WXV3.
Yeah.
And it seems like their natural level is probably 2, but I don't think, I don't know if that necessarily is a thing. Yeah, I mean, whether it's on the one hand, it'll do them good because they're training, they're getting a series of games together, and with these teams we've seen, when you've got a few people that units and combinations that have experience playing with each other, it'll help as they kind of progress. But in terms of the actual, like the opposition that they're facing, it might be good practice for them to tackle massive Samoan boys. But they obviously seem to be able to sort of get around them and score a barrel load of points, and obviously the Hong Kong as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then,
or Hong Kong China, as I believe they're officially referred to.
Yeah, I think it seems. Yeah, it's Hong Kong. Yeah, it's Hong Kong China. So and on a total juxtaposition, we find Scotland under 20 women, and going up against some really fantastic opposition. Unfortunately, suffered a fairly big defeat against France during the week, but it's really encouraging to see Scotland women under 20s getting the opportunities now to play against these top level teams now that are obviously producing a fantastic French team, a fantastic English team through their under 20s programs. So it's good to judge ourselves against them. Yeah,
although I've just said they're playing for, I don't think Samoa playing one-off games against teams who are much better, smaller under 20s against Scotland men here, referring to obviously. But not obviously, that's why I had to qualify it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But when there's that much of a level of disparity, then it's uncompetitive. But for the Scotland women's under 20s, who are obviously looking to progress up to the main team, obviously these are going to be more regular fixtures. If it's Six Nations based and the WXVs. So it's good to get them exposed to better teams, as long as it's regularly, and then as long as the coaching backup is there to go, look, here's where we went wrong against this team. Look how they do this. This is how we fix it. Let's spend plenty of time doing this now. As long as they get the support, which I think they are starting to get now. I'm not going to. This is one of the few times we're going to pick up the SRU. Yes, they are finally starting to invest in one of the most widely growing sports in the world.
It does see. I mean, it feels. I don't know if there was an under-20s women's tournament that's just been going on and nobody told us, but it certainly feels pretty new. So they're probably behind where the guys are, in terms of, we're kind of used to seeing the guys under-20s team struggling, but the women's under-20 feels like a pretty new thing. So it'll probably take time to figure out their strategies and their pathways, even just in terms of selection and things. There could be more younger players out there, but because it's such a new thing, finding them and getting them involved in the systems and the pathways.
Yeah, and I think also what's encouraging for me is the fact that not only are we seeing this work, these challenges coming to the Scottish under 20 women, but also it's coming to up and coming coaches that are coming through. Claire Cruikshank is taking on the under 20s at the moment, and she's obviously succeeded incredibly well in her first year at Edinburgh. And she's taken it. She's now got. I don't know if it's overall control of the under 20s, but she's involved in the setup. And I think for me, we've talked about this when Lisa Martin was on before as well. That it's great to have coaches who are not looking to use the women's game as a step up to the men's game. It's actually seeing coaches who are coming through who their pinnacle to them is to coach their national team in the women's game. Yeah.
Yes.
you kind of just all nodded at me, and it's
yeah,
like,
there's
this
just
isn't
complete
visual, it's
agreement. That's all.
podcast.
It's like, Craig.
For those of you on audio only, we are all nodding in
Well,
agreement.
it didn't seem like a question. It's more like a definitive statement, Craig.
Okay, fair enough.
And we are in agreement completely with it.
And I'm not just blaming the guys for being quiet. I'm learning as a host as well. So maybe I need to ask a little bit more pointed questions. Anyway, we'll
like a bunch
move
of
on.
20s, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I mean,
without Cammy, we're like a bunch of.
we're an emerging nation coming through. Anyway, that's a different story, right? We'll move on. Talking about emerging nations, the colonies are welcoming again Scotland to the Sky Scanner Americas tour. Scotland are all set to play USA on Friday, and the team is out. Rory, let's just say Gregor Townsend has not forgotten. How many? 3 or 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Oh my word!
2018.
Oh, I'm feeling old. It feels just like yesterday how vivid the memories were.
Do you know his first tours? It was Jamie Ritchie who's going to win his 50th cap on Saturday, and Matt Fagerson. That was their first tours.
Yeah.
And James Lang and some other people, but Fagerson, Ritchie,
Hastings as well. Did he not go as well?
He did.
Because George Horn
quite possibly.
Yeah, I'm sure we had this whole axis of cats at a rave, but in the junior version with George Horn and Hastings both playing on the pitch.
I think it might also have been Hoggy's first game as captain.
It was, and I remember him running into Matt. This is one thing that's always annoyed me, and I bring this up quite a lot. It's Hog's reaction when he runs in. Like Hog had went full. I can't remember the acronym. You know the one. F it, I'll do it myself. And he ran into Matt Fagerson at one point, and then just like threw the ball down.
I was at that
like,
one.
Oh, what are you doing? It's like, well, Matt Fagerson was just standing there like, dude, I don't know where you're going, run around me or something. And that's why I always had a bit of a inkling that Stuart Hogg would not be a good captain.
By way of a plug, if you look on the Scottish Rugby blog at www.scottishrugbyblog.co.uk, this sounds like one of those bits where an advert takes over halfway through the podcast. It's not that, I promise. We've got some new boxes with our new database, and the Scotland v USA preview is the first time we've done them. That's actually got Scotland's record of matches versus the United States since the blog was started, and you can click on each of those results and then read the articles from back in the day to see what was going on. This is the only one that I've hooked up, but I had to go back through all of the USA articles and link them in together to our stuff, so you can see. 2018 big L for loss. I can tell you. No, I did the match report and Kevin did the preview.
Yeah, well, so Tooney has gone full bore with the team, and Iain, Adam Hastings is getting a start. He's getting past his injuries, etc. We're going to see what Adam Hastings can do, because we're looking at the squad, and it's pretty much, with one or two exceptions, it's pretty much a full Six Nations squad that's going on that field. It'll be good to see how Adam Hastings does.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the 23, I just, I feel for our good friend David from the Earth. He sent me a GIF reply, so I was like, I'm genuinely terrified, because that is a ridiculously strong Scotland team. Obviously, 2018 is a thorn in the paw of Townsend, because that is, I mean, I will be amazed if we don't score like 60 at least.
No, here we go.
Well, I have to say thanks for absolutely cursing this, Iain. But I understand exactly what you mean, because if I looked at this, Rory, I looked at the squad list and went, did we actually say that we were taking those people?
Yeah, it's sneaky, isn't it?
Yeah, because I'm looking at this thinking, because we've got Hugh Jones, Sione Tuipulotu, Duhan van der Merwe, Kyle Steen. I know that Schumann was going, and Ashman was going, but I didn't see Jamie Ritchie going. I wasn't sure he was going. Rory Darger didn't think was going. Matt Fagerson I didn't think was going. So it really kind of hit me around the chops a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at probably certainly the starting 15, and you took out the names that weren't obviously going, like Finn Russell, Jack Dempsey, Darcy Graham's obviously injured, and then thought, right, what's the next best team I can put together from all Scotland players? It's pretty much that. Obviously there's no Xander Fagerson.
Don't forget Blair Kinghorn or Craig will get upset.
Yeah, Kinghorn. But yeah, that's it. That's the thing. It's I said it in the piece on the site. If you took away the sort of the big names who are obviously not on tour, or even before you picked the tour and said, right, what's the next best Scotland team? Say to play Italy or Georgia or something. It's pretty much that. So yeah, it's quite sneaky because it looked, the squad when they announced the tour squad looked quite sort of
youthful,
quite sparse. But Tooney had obviously just figured out a strong 15 of the people he wanted to take, sprinkled them in there, and then made it look like he was taking loads of beginners. So yeah, I mean it's a good starting 15. And there's a few of the guys who did really well against Canada on the bench, or Jamie Dobby did really well, and Matt Curry, who did really well against Canada, and Robbie Smith as well, another hooker. Because I mean, obviously Dylan Richardson against Canada really put in a performance. So Ewan Ashman is going to basically have to play as well as that. To justify his position as kind of front runner, because hooker is currently for Scotland with George Turner going to Japan is wide open in terms of who claims that spot. Sorry, Dave Cherry and Johnny Matthews. There's a Dave Matthews band, Dave Johnny Matthews band, Dave Cherry.
Dave John Cherry Matthews band.
But that's the thing. First of all, what does Johnny Matthews have to do, or what has he, has he jokingly put a certain part of your anatomy in Tooney's tea one day, just as a joke, and he's never forgiven it. Yeah, he's big toe. But Ian, Alex Craig, Murphy Walker, Matt Curry, Max Williamson, getting much needed game time. These guys are people who are shining at the moment. Obviously, no Harry Patterson, but these are people who are shining at the moment within the what you maybe say the second tier of the Scotland team. This must be good that they're getting game time and getting the chance.
Absolutely, I think Harry Paterson's probably still needs to heal up, because that was a hell of a bang he took.
It certainly was, yeah.
Cowrell's coming in, and he's what an impact he made at Glasgow Warriors. Alex Craig he seems to be the new John Barclay down in Llanelli. Won their Player of the Year awards. Hadn't had a Scotland cap in like 3 years, I think.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah, it seems to be like this is one of the things with the pro team. The fact that we only have the two. Sometimes players do have to go away to get better, and that I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing all the time, especially if we can't afford a third pro team. But then you'll see, like, Max Williamson's come in, he's looking to the manor born, 21-year-old. I mean, the rest of the team, just God. I'm very surprised that he went this strong. One things that I might think maybe was possibly his plan was to bring in, because in between Six Nations and the Open Tests, that's a long time to not have any contact with like your get together with your core squad. So especially like your Huey Pilotu and whatnot. But I just didn't think that he would be so bloodlustfully looking for vengeance that Townsend would strike that strong.
Well, I can see little things like, for example, Duhan van der Merwe. Let's just say he's not had the best season.
No.
So
and also
he's obviously
he can.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but he can break the record for top try scorer, Scotland's national record try scorer this weekend.
And what a game to try it on, where defence is going to be optional. But yeah, he is needing a little bit more of, maybe he's needing to prove himself to Tooney. But people like Sione and Hugh Jones, they don't need to prove themselves to Tooney. So it really is an interesting one to see. Maybe but also I was going to say, Rory, prior to this, and I kind of half forgot about it, but looking at this team, and we're thinking this is meant to be a development squad that's going out to the Americas. It must make us feel a little bit better about having that's us meant to be putting out an almost a second team, or as John Anderson would call it, the bin juice, and they're able to put out such a strong team that you could see that team go to Six Nations and actually do a little bit of damage, would they not?
Yeah, I think, and I think a lot of it is actually, it's maybe not. I mean, it's development with an eye to the future, because this is almost what does the team look like once the Gray brothers retire, once Finn retires. Hoggy's gone already.
Yeah.
And, to be honest, that's maybe something that's gone against Johnny Matthews. I think he's 29, 30. So he's, he's still got a few years of his peak as a forward, but he's not as young as some of these other guys. And I think Tooney clearly has sort of, an eye on the future. What's maybe setting himself, maybe not even setting himself up for the next, for this coming World Cup cycle, but maybe the one after. I mean, there's been a very obvious lack of new players coming through into the Scotland ranks, and this is maybe his chance to get a couple of guys and see if they're worth a shot when the quality of opposition is higher and the stakes are higher as well. I mean, not necessarily Autumn, but the Six Nations. It's quite hard now that Italy have increased their level of quality quite a lot. It's quite hard to have that Italy game as like a sort of development game in the Six Nations. You kind of have to go full noise the whole way through the tournament. So I think this is giving them a chance to have a look at some of these guys and see how they respond in a sort of a squad environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And
there's one thing that kind of, sorry to interject
carry on.
So Johnny Matthews, I think he's 31. But what I find odd is that he does have one of the best line-out throwing percentages in the URC. Obviously it helps when you get 6'10" to throw up, but it's not always been the case with Scotland when they've had Richie Gray and Gant Gilchrist, all combined like 13 foot in there. The other thing, oh God, I've forgotten it now. Where was it? Was it Hookers? I can't remember.
Yeah, probably Johnny Matthews.
Other than that, there was it's gone fine. Let's move on.
Well, the thing is, and not to go all Tommy Bow, not to go all Tommy Bow, but 4 captains. It's, how many captains do we need? I'm a captain, vice captain kind of guy. I've always been that way, and if anyone who listens to the pod, I've got my thoughts on it quite dramatically. But do we need 4 captains? Do we need 4 captains?
America have just gone with.
Sorry, Rory.
Only one.
America. On you go.
Man, this is like, I think with our dodgy broadbands, we're all kind of cutting it. Right. Yeah, I'm with you, Craig. Like, only one captain can go and speak to the ref. That's why when there's co-captains, it'll be like, right, who am I speaking to? Is it you, Rory, or is it you, Finn? I don't understand it. Like, just pick a captain, right? You can have a couple of vice captains if you want, but we all know it's all about leadership groups and what have you. But just have a captain, and that's it. None of this co-captain nonsense.
America's captain is former Glasgow Warrior Greg Peterson.
I saw that. Yeah.
Who also played in the he played in the 2018 victory as well.
Yeah. Well, the least we talk about that, the better. And I'm hoping that we're going to have a fantastic game, because I'm going to be talking on the Scrum of the Earth on Monday, and I hope I can go with a smug face and have a bit of a laugh with David.
The last try, you know who it was? Kinghorn's misconversion, which made it a 1-0, a 1-point loss. Sorry. The last try, I can't remember, because it was Dougie Fife that scored, wasn't it? But I remember thinking they should have somebody should have passed inside first. It was either him or Hogg should have passed inside so that we're closer to the posts. Because
Well,
it really put Kinghorn in a horrendous spot to kick from.
according
Especially
to
as he was at that time. You know, he was only 20. God, I mean, this is 6 years ago.
I mean-
Blair Kinghorn would have been 20. This is how long Blair Kinghorn's been playing.
according to my match report, which will definitely be right, it was actually down to Johnny's cousin AJ McGinty forcing Dougie Fife out wide that meant the conversion was, and I think he had quite a good game. He is also playing on the weekend.
Yeah, well, because I thought he was injured, though, actually. It's good to see him back, actually, AJ McGinty. Johnny McGinty playing for America, oh my word. But
that's where he is. That's why he's not here this week, folks.
Yeah, well, actually, he's also going over to speak at a Republican Party conference because, he can't talk at the Tory ones at the moment because there's none of them. But yeah, we'll wait and see. So we will... At this point in this slander against poor Johnny McGinty, who's not here to defend himself, we will call it a day with the live to AirPod, and we're going to head over to the Patreon. So
wait, I've remembered my second point about the hookers thing. Right.
Okay, come on in. Let's go.
Quick, briefly. Right. Everyone's like, "Oh, George Turner's away to Japan. That's the end of his international career." Why? Why does moving to Japan, like the whole thing about World Rugby's rules is, if there's a Test rugby window, the clubs are obligated to release every club is obligated to release their players for.
Does the Japanese season not run right through the Six Nations or something though?
Yeah, but still,
and it's also think about the travelling and all that, and I think the Japanese season, I think they only have about 6 games. Am I right? Not right in saying it's like something daft, like they don't play a huge amount of games.
No, I'm looking up Sione Tuipulotu stats. I think it is a sort of more. I think it's like 14ish games.
Right. Okay.
But this is the strange thing about. I mean, it's when I first started reeling against him playing at 12, which I've completely stopped now, as I think we all know. He had never played at 12 in his pro career before then, either at was it Melbourne Ritz he was at, and then in Japan he'd always played. Well, he'd come off the bench a few times, so you weren't exactly sure what position, but he was always like number 23, and he'd always played 13 or 14. I think there was maybe one game at 12, but all of his pro games before his first Test start at 12 for Scotland were at 13 or 14. But yeah, the main thing again though was why is it if a player goes to Japan, their international career is over unless they've agreed it with the union? But people just assume it's like that's them done because that's what I think. Maybe because that's what the All Black players do. It's like a sabbatical year from the intensity of being an All Black. But I think there can't be a mandate that if you're playing in Japan, you can't play international rugby.
Yeah.
I think it would be an unwritten rule like Fijian players playing in French rugby that you're just not allowed.
Yeah, I don't think there's a mandate against it.
You want.
Yeah, I think it's just more.
But why was it assumed though? This is more of my.
Well, that's the thing,
because it just is, and he's not going to play for Scotland until he comes back. Just accept it.
Yeah, pretty much. Just accept it.
You've got Johnny Matthews planned anyway. What are you worried about?
I'm trying to get to grips that Dave Cherry's not going to play. It's just no.
Yeah. Do you reckon Dylan Richardson will end up at the Glasgow? Maybe.
I hope so. To be honest,
because he was pretty impressive.
But we'll talk about that in the next section.
Yeah. Well, what I'll do is I'll try and give some sort of resemblance of actually being able to control this pod and control these two, and we'll decide we're going to move on.
Wild card, baby.
So, thank you to all who have joined us to watch this on the free-to-air side of things of the podcast. We're going to move over to our Patreon and we're going to have a discussion about Scotland v Canada and all these players that have performed rather well and where they might fit into the Scotland game, especially into the autumn. Thanks for joining us. And if you fancy listening or fancy joining us, on the Patreon side of things, please do have a look at Patreon.com/Scottish Rugby Pod, and it's the cost of £3 a month to get access to the extra content. Thank you so much, Rory. Thank you very much, Iain. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to all of you out there for listening. And hopefully next week we'll be a little bit more organised and controlled. And have a good day. Thanks now.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, everyone. Cheerio. I'm going to go pee.
There's a timestamp for you at the end there, right?
He can mute himself before he says that. I don't think the rapidly decreasing number of live viewers needed to know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so